amid highly increasing street action. Many young professionals are leaving Israel. They are fleeing from the hard right rule. Now, some are going after new opportunities, but many are running away from legislation that goes against the basis of democracy. Now, this is not us saying it. This is according to the results of a leading poll in Israel itself. Take a look.
Israel's political crisis is entering uncharted territory. The domestic protests are making headlines on the world stage. From economy to livability, all indices are going down. And now, a rising number of Israelis are actively mulling relocation, not to a different locality or suburb, but out of the country altogether. Recent polls suggested that as many as 1 in 3 citizens is thinking of leaving the country. Among them are tech employees, doctors, and academicians. While another poll carried out by Channel 13 says 28% of its respondents were thinking of making the move.
I really hate what's going to happen, and it really makes me want to go away from Israel. And I hope for good.
The judicial reform protest has hit the country's brains and might soon impact its pockets as well. Some tech companies are thinking of shifting bases out of Israel. And on top of that, new startups are setting up bases in the US and operating in Israel as a foreign entity. That marks a reversal, as Israel had managed in the past decade to persuade more of its startups to set up their legal identity domestically. It may not mean jobs shifting overseas en masse, but registering companies or intellectual property abroad can affect where taxes are paid and so impact government revenue. A survey of 615 firms by Startup Nation Central showed that 8% of Israeli startup or tech companies had started moving their headquarters abroad and 29% intended to do soon. Now it all comes as landmark protests continue in Israel against the government's proposed judicial overhaul. Protesters believe the reform endangers democracy. However, Israel's hardline governing coalition argues that its actions enhance democracy by fixing a judicial system in which elected politicians are too easily overruled. While the demonstrators still hope new laws can be overturned, many admit that immigrating is something they or those close to them have thought about. If you look at recent history, the debate around relocation due to political reasons have come up in recent times, but people rarely follow through. United States witnessed a similar trend after the election of Donald Trump, when many Americans who had initially threatened to move abroad abandoned their efforts. But observers believe for Israel it might be a different story. The political turmoil has stoked regional tensions. The society now stands more divided than ever.